Hello and welcome to An Idiot Codes episode 9, and here is where we left off last time with a big purple block with a blocky bloke bigging it up. In fact, he's too big. Let's do something about that. Coming to class attributes. Down here we have him at a scale of 10.0f. So if we come into rendering and say public float scale equals 3.0f. 3 is smaller than 10. Let's plug scale in here. Anytime you can take something out of the functions and put it just as an attribute, you're probably doing the right thing. Makes everything easier to deal with down the line. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that's a decent size. That'll do for now. Now let's see what comes next. Let's get some movement involved here, but we don't want to move every game object, we just want to move the man. So let's add a new class. We'll call it character. Haha, character building. Grow up. Take the using statements so that all the references are in place. And then in game object we want to make sure parent is G. Oh, that needs to be public. And we'll have public void update. Bracket, bracket, curly brackets. And then we want, what do we want? Well, first off, let's say the velocity, let's just work in the X direction for now, equals 0.0f. So no matter what we do, we start with no motion. Velocity, oh, idiot. We need this to be colon game object. So that'll reference through characters are now a type of game object. Velocity suddenly makes sense again. Lovely, lovely. So if g.keyboardState dot is key down, keys dot a velocity equals minus, let's go with minus move speed. As I just said, anytime you can abstract something out and make it a variable, region, class attributes, apparently it needs to be a lowercase region, that's fine. End region, public float move speed equals 2.0f. Come on, you know it's a thing now. Velocity dot x, because we're moving horizontally. Take this and bosh. D is moving right, which is positive. A velocity that is positive, moving right. And then we have position plus equals velocity. So we add the velocity to the position. We should have a moving man. We do not have a moving man because we have not used the update call. So come into update, man.update. Now we should have a build error. Man.update. Because this is still a game object, we need to come into game objects, change this to character. And it is a new character. Fortunately, it generally tells you what you're doing wrong when you do something wrong. It doesn't always make the most sense, but there we are. It doesn't just explode. And we now have a moving man. Fantastic. So next, let's add a facing direction. That would be quite good. In game objects, because this is where the draw is. And the sprite effects is what we'll use here. As you see, when you go sprite effects dot, You can flip horizontally, vertically, or none. At the moment it's set to none, but we can make the guy face left or right if we flip horizontally. So if we come to the rendering, let's add public bool. Is that what I want? Yeah. No, I don't. What am I talking about? Sprite effects dot, can't spell, sprite, start again. Sprite effects equals, oh no, needs to have a name, facing dir, facing direction, equals new sprite effects. Is that needed? I don't know. Yeah, so the sprite effects is there. And we come here and replace this with facing dir. Now let's get rid of new sprite effects and call it sprite effects dot none. Yep, that's fine. Just to show. It's still working. Come into character. We can say if the keyboard state is left, because in the sprite the guy is naturally facing right, so we can say when A is pressed, facing dir equals sprite effects dot flip horizontally. And if D is pressed, facing dir equals sprite effects dot none. Don't forget your semicolons to close it out. That should. Right works, left works, right, left, right, left, right. Oh, that's grand. So if you look in the sprite sheet I made, there's now a platform as well. Ignore the arm for the moment, we'll come back to that later. So while it's just a man in a void at the moment, let's give him something to mess around with, something to interact with. And the best way to do that, well, we have a character class, so let's have something for inanimate objects. Let's call it a class. Let's call it a prop, like a movie prop. Yeah. Let's again take the using statements, copy, paste. I don't think we actually need any special qualities on them at the moment, but let's keep that anyway. So new game objects, prop, platform equals new prop. Yeah. Then we initialize the prop, platform.init, this, come into the sprites, we will add existing item, let's add the sprite. Yes, we'll overwrite it because that will mean the platform is now added. Platform.init. Oh, I forgot it again. Prop game object. There we go. Platform.init. Load content. Game objects. Let's take this and say junk. Except instead of man, it's now platform. Ooh, now I've got to think. Let's see. This is going to be, say, 40 wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tall. That's 20 and that was 5, so 25 across. And it's at the top of the screen, so 0. And let's place it 300, 200. Where does that leave it? We won't know because I haven't drawn it yet. Game objects. There's no update on it, just a draw. Game objects. Man.draw. Platform.draw. Yep, there's a platform. Excellent. Right, the next thing we'll want to do is to see where the hitboxes of these things are so that when the man touches it, we know exactly what's going on. We have collision stuff here already. The hitbox is a new rectangle. But it'll be hard to see the hitbox. We need a way to see that before it happens. You might have seen it just now. This is just a semi-transparent yellow sprite, and I'll use that as a sort of debug. Yeah, let's add that here and say, right at the top, region, debug, end region. Say bool is debug equals true. Yeah, for now we'll keep debug as true. Then in game objects we'll want basically to write the same thing, but instead of using the sprite we'll use the hitbox information. So if is, did I make it public? I bet I didn't. Public, yeah. So if g.isDebug equals true, this way it'll only show up if I'm in debug mode. And then we'll copy this. Sprite file. Well, we don't want that, we want to use our new hitbox texture. So in debug, let's go with public texture 2D, hitbox texture, come down to the load, let's have region debug, end region, and say debug, nope, hitbox texture equals content dot load texture 2D. Did I put it into the sprites? I think I did. Sprites, hitbox. Come into game object, change this to once again, forgot to make things public. Oh no, I didn't. Hitbox texture. G.hitbox texture. We want the position to be the same. Or do we? We want this to be the hitbox position. So, new vector2 hitbox.x hitbox.y. We want the size of it to be the hitbox. Color white is fine, rotation's fine, sprite center's fine, I think. Wait, no, we want the sprite center to be 0. Vector2.0. Because we don't want it to be offset at all, we want it to just show exactly where the hitbox is. The scale's fine, the facing direction's fine. And I suppose what is that last one? Ah, the layer depth, which we're not interested about at the moment anyway. Now let's determine where the hitbox should be. So when it loads, the hitbox will be hitbox equals new rectangle. Let's go with position.x, position.y, sprite lock dot width, sprite lock dot height. Of course these aren't working because these need to be integers, as always. If we try that, what do we get? So that they're offset, and that's not quite right. So we want this to be position X minus sprite center dot X. Make this a whole thing an integer, and in the same way minus sprite center dot Y. Why is that still offset? Maybe this shouldn't be scaled either. So the width and height can both be times scale and times scale. These want to be integers as well. Crikey. All integers all the time. You're listening to KINT. How does that look? So it's still offset. Why is that? The hitbox is the position minus the sprite center. I guess the sprite center needs to be scaled up as well. Yeah, that works. Okay. So that's the hitbox sorted. And keep the debug on for now because I'll just get confused otherwise. I am easily confused, as you've probably already noticed.